Okay, so as the coaching carousel really gets even more crazier every day, there's a lot of people still on the hot seat. A lot of people still need jobs. A lot of teams need coaches. Florida is one of the main jobs open. And I think this is one of the better jobs because if you go back and watch that Georgia game, forget about the Kentucky game last week. Forget about that one. Go and look at the Georgia game against a top ranked team in the country. You know, that showed whoever takes his job, you can come in, you can immediately come in and win. This roster is good, a good program that has been failed by a stubborn head coach who would not relieve his play calling duties. That's Billy Napier. But anyway, let's get into the candidates. So, first off, I think everybody knows this one. First one is Lane Kiffin. So basically, this is the guy that I think Florida will likely hold out for if they're going to hold out for a coach. And I've heard from a few people that they really, really like their chances and think that this is it, like a legit opportunity that Lane Kiffin could be a Florida Gator next year. We'll see. But the question is, how long do you want to hold out for Kiffin? Because if he's still in the playoff hunt, if he beats you this weekend, he's he's not going to make an official he's not going to make an official decision until after the season because you don't want those distractions inside your program when you're making a playoff run. And I think Kiffin knows that. I think Lane knows that. For Florida, if you don't make that decision, your time's kind of running out because lots of other big coaching positions open. Um, you know, they're going to start snagging up these candidates here pretty soon. You have a lot of jobs open. You have Florida, you have Penn State, you have LSU, you have Virginia Tech. Florida State might be open pretty soon. Maryland might be open pretty soon. Not that you're competing with the Marylands of the world, but still. Arkansas, Auburn, there's a lot of them. And there's more. Michigan State might be open. But obviously, yeah, Florida, they're going to have a backup plan to Lane Kiffin. But what happens if your backup plan does get hired somewhere else while you're holding out for Lane Kiffin? And then you hold out for so long, you don't get anybody that you want, so you're stuck in a weird place where there are no candidates left that you'd pay real legit money to come in and run this program. And then Lane Kiffin returns to Ole Miss. What do you do? What do you do? So it's very interesting. But obviously, for many reasons, this is a dream fit for Florida. Lane Kiffin comes to Florida. You know, when you're walking down the hallways, recruiting high school kids in their high school, the Florida logo is going to pop more than the LSU logo, or the Florida logo is going to pop more than the Ole Miss logo. And that's nothing against Ole Miss. I love Ole Miss too. But that's just the truth. You know, it's more of a draw when you see that logo. You think back of Tim Tebow and all those guys. It's it's obvious that it just pops more than that Ole Miss logo. But anyway, Florida is the most intriguing school in the state if you're talking about recruiting in state. And you literally have to drive like 30 minutes. You have five stars pretty much in your backyard. You're going to be able to recruit a lot of talent in Florida, probably more than Ole Miss, because at Ole Miss, you're still competing with the Alabamas of the world. You're competing with Mississippi State, even though you are getting all of Mississippi State's recruits pretty much. I'm not saying people are choosing to go there over Ole Miss, but you're still competing with Alabama, Auburn, pretty much all the SEC schools in that general area. I'd love to see this Lane Kiffin offense with that Florida speed. But anyways, the next candidate that I believe is probably the backup option, if I had to guess, but there are rumors of him maybe going somewhere else, which I've also heard. But I know some Florida fans might hate this, but it is Eli Drinkwitz. I don't think it's bad at all. I think people are kind of blowing this out of proportion, saying it's a bad head coaching. We're saying that he's a bad head coach. He's not a bad head coach. Again, he used the portal really good. He gets five-star recruits to go to Missouri. What do you think he could do at Florida? He's going to go in there. He's going to recruit a lot of that Florida talent. He went into Missouri, flipped that program around, and made Missouri a cool place to go play. Florida's already a cool place to go play. So if he can come in and make it even cooler, the players like him. We'll see. I think Eli Drink is a good coach, though. The next one is Jed Fish. Another one that Florida fans, I've seen them not like it, but I have heard some rumors. Don't know what's true. Don't know what's not. But he has a Florida background. It is his alma mater. He played there. I have seen some rumors recently that have circulated, which, like I said, don't know the truth to it. But apparently, he's trying to find a way out of Washington because his family doesn't like it there. Maybe that was just some fake Twitter post that got spread around everywhere, but that's what I've been hearing. But he has also mentioned that he doesn't like his name floated around in these coaching conversations. But you're crazy to think if Florida called Jed Fish, he wouldn't pick up and even consider it. You know, go back to your alma mater. Every coach's dream, I believe, would be to go back to your alma mater, take him to a national championship, and win that thing. I think that Jed Fish would not turn down this opportunity. So I think that he's definitely in that top 3 to 4 range as far as guys they're looking at. And if Louisville doesn't extend Jeff Brom, he's not on my list. I do think that he would be in play too. The last one, let me clarify this one. I don't think Florida's looking at him, but if you want to go this route, I think this is the best option. That is Alex Golesh. If you want to go the G5 route, keep Golesh in Florida. You know, he's completely he's completely leveled up this USF program to an elite group of 5 program and a college football playoff contender. I think Golesh is one of those guys that's just going to work out in terms of modern day head coaches. He's a younger guy. He's a fiery guy, cool personality, already in the state of Florida, so he doesn't really have to travel far to take the job. And he's very familiar with the state, obviously. But yeah, that team has legit talent over at USF2 in Tampa. If Florida hires him, he's going to bring in a lot of those guys over from USF, which may sound bad because you're bringing a group of 5 players over into play in the SEC. Doesn't matter. He's going to pick the guys that he really wants, that he knows can translate over. And that's what Kurt Signetti did in Indiana. He came from James Madison. He brought over all the guys to Indiana from James Madison who he thought would translate over to the Big Ten. And they went to the college football playoffs. So put Alex Golesh with a roster like Florida has now. Let him bring in his guys who he knows can make a major impact. You know, really good offensive mind. You have a 5-star quarterback. If he doesn't bring Byron Brown, you have a 5-star quarterback in DJ Lagway. Similar play styles to what he's developing right now. Who's to say he couldn't flip DJ Lagway's career around? Anyway, he's showing it at USF. Anyway, he's also a player's coach. So recruits are gonna want to go play for him. And this is a guy that went into Gainesville and he upset a Florida team previously that had playoff aspirations at the beginning of the year. Also, another stat is he came in and he took a USF team that was 1-11 to a 7-6 season. So it shows he can come in and make an immediate impact. I think that he's the next big group of 5 project coach. Maybe I'm completely wrong on this, but this is just my opinion. Unless there is some PTSD there with hiring Billy Napier from the G5 route. I don't know, but I don't think there's a comparison. I think that Billy is good at what he does on his coordinator side of things. I think that Golesh is, you know, I think that he has what it takes to go win at a higher level because of how quickly he's flipped around this USF program. So yeah, not too in depth. We'll probably do another more in depth one as we get more news. But yeah, that's a little bit of what I'm kind of expecting for the head coaching search. So Lane Kiffin, Eli Drinkowitz, Jed Fish, Alex Golesh.